"We only pretended to like you for the gifts," my niece said, laughing with her parents. I nodded, got in my car, and left. The next morning, I called the lawyer and removed them from the will. That evening, they were at my house screaming. I, 52M, never thought I'd be writing this, but here I am, still shaking from what happened 3 days ago. Some context first. I'm a software engineer who got lucky with some early investments and a startup that sold well. I'm not millionaire rich, but comfortable enough that money isn't something I worry about anymore. My brother passed away 2 years ago from cancer, leaving behind his wife and their daughter, who was 16 at the time. After he died, I stepped up. I figured that's what family does. I helped with funeral costs, started paying for my niece's private school, set up a college fund, covered their mortgage payments when my sister-in-law was struggling to find work. I bought birthday gifts, Christmas presents, took them on vacations. I thought we had become close. I thought they appreciated having me around. Last weekend was my niece's 18th birthday. I threw her a party at my house. Nothing too crazy, just family and a few of her friends. I got her a car. Nothing fancy, just a reliable Honda that would get her through college. She hugged me, thanked me, told me I was the best uncle ever. Her mother was there too, telling everyone how grateful they were for everything I'd done. The party wound down around 10, and most people had left. I was in the kitchen cleaning up when I realized I'd forgotten my phone outside by the pool. As I walked back out to grab it, I heard voices from the side yard. My sister-in-law, my niece, and a few of her friends were standing by the gate, and they hadn't seen me yet. That's when I heard it. My niece was laughing, telling her friends how easy it was to get things from me. She said I was pathetic, always trying so hard to be the cool uncle. One of her friends asked if she actually liked me, and that's when she said it. "We only pretended to like you for the gifts." Her mother was right there, laughing along, adding that I was lonely and desperate for family, so they just played along. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds, listening to them tear apart every moment I thought we'd shared. Every thank you, every hug, every time they'd called me when they needed something, it was all fake. I wasn't family to them. I was a checkbook with legs. I walked over, picked up my phone, and looked right at my niece. She went completely white. Her friends got quiet. My sister-in-law started to say something, but I just held up my hand. I told them I understood now, thanked them for clarifying things, and said I hoped they had a good night. Then I walked to my car and drove home. I didn't sleep much that night. I kept replaying every interaction, every time I'd helped them, every moment I thought we were building something real. I felt like an idiot. But by morning, I wasn't sad anymore. I was angry. At 9 a.m. sharp, I called my lawyer. I'd updated my will after my brother died, leaving everything to his family since I never married and don't have kids. My lawyer was surprised by the urgency, but he's good at his job. By noon, we had new documents drawn up. My niece and sister-in-law were completely removed. Everything now goes to various charities and a scholarship fund I'm setting up in my brother's name. I thought that would be it. I was wrong. Around 6 that evening, I was making dinner when I heard pounding on my front door. Not knocking, pounding. I opened it to find my sister-in-law and my niece on my doorstep. My sister-in-law's face was red, and she was already yelling before I could say anything. She demanded to know what I thought I was doing, called me petty and vindictive. My niece was crying, saying it was all a misunderstanding, that she was just trying to sound cool in front of her friends. I let them into the living room and listened to them for about 10 minutes. My sister-in-law threatened to sue me, said I couldn't just abandon family like this. My niece kept apologizing, saying she didn't mean it, that she really did love me. She begged me to understand that teenagers say stupid things sometimes. But here's what really got to me. Not once did either of them seem to understand why I was hurt. They were angry that I'd removed them from the will, not sorry that they'd been lying to me for 2 years. My sister-in-law actually had the nerve to say that I should be happy to help family, that expecting gratitude was selfish. I told them both to leave. My sister-in-law said this wasn't over, that she'd find a way to fight this. My niece tried one more time to convince me she was sorry, but I was done listening. Update 1. It's been a week since I posted this. The responses were overwhelming. I didn't expect this to blow up the way it did. A lot of people asked for an update, so here it is. My sister-in-law made good on her threat to sue. She hired a lawyer and filed a claim saying I had a verbal contract to support them, and that removing them from my will was breach of that contract. Her lawyer also argued that since I'd been acting in loco parentis for my niece, I had legal obligations that couldn't just be terminated. My lawyer wasn't worried. He said these kinds of cases are hard to prove and expensive to pursue. He was right about the expensive part. Turns out my sister-in-law borrowed money for the retainer from several family members, including my parents. That's how my parents found out about all of this. They called me 3 days ago, furious, but not at my sister-in-law, at me. My mother told me I was being cruel and unreasonable, that my brother would be ashamed of how I was treating his family. My father said I was letting money turn me into someone he didn't recognize. I tried to explain what happened, but they'd already heard my sister-in-law's version. In her telling, my niece made one innocent comment that I completely overreacted to. She painted me as unstable and vindictive, said I was using my money to manipulate and hurt them. The conversation with my parents didn't go well. My mother started crying, asking how our family had fallen apart like this. My father told me that if I went through with cutting them off, I'd be dead to him too. Then he hung up. I'm not going to lie, that hurt. But I also realized something. If my parents could believe that I would do something like this without good reason, if they could side with my sister-in-law without even hearing my side of the story, then maybe the problem in this family runs deeper than I thought. My lawyer advised me to save the voicemails my sister-in-law has been leaving. She calls every few days, alternating between apologies and threats. Yesterday, she told me that my niece has been having panic attacks about college because she doesn't know how she'll pay for it now. She said I was ruining an innocent girl's future over wounded pride. But here's the thing. I looked into it. My niece got accepted to a state school with partial academic scholarships. With financial aid and maybe a part-time job, college is absolutely doable. She was never going to be on the street. My sister-in-law just wanted me to keep paying for the expensive private college they'd picked out. Update 2. 2 months have passed since my last update. The lawsuit was dropped. My lawyer was right. Once my sister-in-law's attorney actually reviewed the case, he advised her that she had no legal standing. Turns out promising to help family doesn't create binding contracts, especially when that help is contingent on an actual relationship existing. But dropping the suit didn't end things. My niece graduated high school last month. I wasn't invited to the ceremony, which was expected. What I didn't expect was the aftermath. Apparently, my sister-in-law had been telling everyone that I was still going to pay for college, that the whole thing would blow over once I came to my senses. When reality hit and my niece had to settle for the state school instead of the private college she wanted, my sister-in-law launched a family campaign against me. She called every relative we have, painting me as the villain who abandoned my brother's family in their time of need. Most of our extended family believed her. I started getting calls and messages from cousins, aunts, uncles, all telling me I needed to do right by my brother's memory. My aunt threatened to have me banned from family gatherings if I didn't fix this mess. The only person who reached out to hear my side was my cousin from my mother's side. She's always been the reasonable one in the family. I told her everything, including the part about overhearing the conversation. She listened without interrupting, then was quiet for a long time. Finally, she told me she'd suspected something was off. She said that at family gatherings, my sister-in-law and niece would roll their eyes whenever I wasn't looking, make little comments about my desperate need for family. She thought it was just typical family snark, but looking back, it felt meaner than that. My cousin also told me something else. My niece had been bragging on social media about all the expensive gifts she got from her sucker uncle, complete with laughing emojis. The posts were private, but mutual friends had seen them. Apparently, this had been going on for months. That revelation made me feel sick, but also validated. I wasn't overreacting to one careless comment. This had been their attitude all along. My parents still aren't speaking to me. My mother sent me a birthday card last month with just her signature. No message, no love. It was somehow worse than getting nothing. But there have been unexpected silver linings. Setting up the scholarship fund in my brother's name led me to volunteer work with local high schools. I've been mentoring kids who are first-generation college applicants, helping them navigate the process. It's given me more satisfaction than any expensive gift I ever bought for my niece. I also reconnected with some old friends I'd lost touch with after my brother died. I'd been so focused on being the good uncle that I'd isolated myself from my actual support network. These friends have been incredible, helping me work through the hurt and anger I've been carrying. Update 3. It's been 6 months now, and I'm writing what I hope will be my final update. Things have reached a resolution of sorts, though not the one anyone expected. 3 weeks ago, I got a call from my niece. Not my sister-in-law, my niece directly. She asked if we could meet for coffee, said she had things she needed to say. I almost said no, but something in her voice made me agree. We met at a neutral location, a coffee shop downtown. She looked different, older, maybe more serious. College had started for her, and she was working part-time at a campus bookstore to help cover expenses. She started by apologizing, but not the same desperate apology from that night at my house. This was different, more thoughtful, more genuine. She told me that starting college had been a wake-up call. Being around people who worked for everything they had made her realize how entitled she'd become. She said she'd been thinking about that night for months, replaying what she'd said and why she'd said it. She admitted that she had been taking advantage of my generosity, but claimed she hadn't fully understood how wrong it was until she was on her own. The hardest part of the conversation was when she told me about her relationship with her mother. Apparently, my sister-in-law had been coaching her for months on how to handle me, what to say to get what she wanted, how to play up the poor orphan girl angle. My niece said she went along with it because it felt like a game, and she was good at it. But she also said something that surprised me. She told me that despite all the manipulation, there had been real moments between us that she'd treasured. She said I was the only stable adult figure in her life after her father died, and losing that relationship had been devastating in ways she hadn't expected. I listened to everything she said, and I believe she was being honest. But I also told her that trust, once broken like that, isn't easily rebuilt. I wasn't ready to go back to the way things were, but I was willing to start over, slowly, carefully, with clear boundaries. We've been texting occasionally since then. Nothing heavy, just checking in. She tells me about school. I ask about her classes. It's superficial, but it's something. My sister-in-law, on the other hand, hasn't changed at all. She found out about my coffee meeting with my niece and showed up at my house again, furious that I was manipulating her daughter against her. She demanded I reinstate them both in my will if I was going to have a relationship with my niece. I told her that wasn't going to happen. My will stays as it is. My relationship with my niece, if we rebuild one, will be separate from any financial considerations. She called me vindictive and stormed off. I haven't heard from her since. The family situation remains complicated. My parents still barely speak to me, though my father did call on Christmas, a stiff, formal conversation that felt like obligation rather than love. Most of the extended family has moved on to other drama, though I'm still not welcome at big gatherings. But I've made peace with that. The scholarship fund is thriving, and I've seen 3 kids get help with college expenses so far. My volunteer work has expanded. I'm now involved with a nonprofit that helps low-income families navigate higher education. My friend's circle has grown stronger. I'm dating someone now, a teacher I met through the volunteer work. She knows the whole story and understands why trust is something I'm careful with. As for my niece, we're taking things one day at a time. She asked if she could call me on what would have been her father's birthday next month. I said yes. It won't be the relationship we used to have. That was built on lies and manipulation. But maybe we can build something real this time. The money that would have gone to them is doing good in the world. Kids who actually need help are getting it. And I'm not some lonely guy desperately buying affection anymore. I'm building genuine relationships based on honesty and mutual respect. I won't pretend this whole experience didn't leave scars. Learning that people I loved had been lying to me for years, losing most of my family over standing up for myself. That kind of betrayal changes you. But maybe not all change is bad. I'm more careful now about who I trust, but I'm also more intentional about the relationships I do invest in. I'm not trying to buy love anymore, and the love I'm finding feels more real because of it. Some people might think I overreacted, that I should have just accepted their apology and moved on. But I've learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself and others is to enforce consequences for hurtful behavior. My niece is learning to value relationships that aren't transactional. My sister-in-law is learning that manipulation has costs. And I'm learning that family isn't just about blood. It's about people who choose to show up for each other honestly. That's worth more than any inheritance.